Hello people, welcome to Prep Elevate. Today we'll discuss a question which appeared in CAT 23. We are starting with para-summary questions. Slowly we'll move ahead to other questions as well. Alright, so here we have the first question on the screen. The thumb rule before you start any para-summary question is, one thing you need to understand, not every question is supposed to be attempted during exam conditions, right? You may get questions which are tricky, you may find words which are unfamiliar. That is why you need to be very careful that should you pick that question under exam conditions or not, and what should the criteria be. First of all, very important and very basic, are you comfortable with the language? If yes, that's a green flag for you. You should definitely go ahead. Second check should be, are the options too close? Do you find yourself drowning in the options? Right? You're not able to eliminate options. If that is one of the things, then again you need to pause and rethink about your choices. Look at this question on the screen. The moment I look at this question, first of all, even before thinking about attempting such questions, what are the thoughts that go on in my mind? Am I looking at some words which seem familiar? And here you will notice some words are written within quotes. Usually when you read, your eye tends to focus on such words. Are these familiar? Short, sharp, slogans, fake news? Look at this. This is what we keep discussing on a day-to-day basis these days. Something tells me, this is worth an attempt. There might be a possibility where I get confused with the options. I'll come to that later. At first glance, this seems like a question that I would like to go ahead with. Let us read it together, and before I give you the answers, I would request all of you to try it on your own before you proceed with the explanation bit. Alright? Okay. So what are we reading? Manipulating information was a feature of history long before modern journalism established rules of integrity. A record dates back to ancient Rome when Antony met Cleopatra and his political enemy Octavian launched a smear campaign. Alright, so what I know is we are discussing something about history where manipulating information was a major part. So this is where we started the discussion with. And this is how we are discussing an example with short, sharp slogans written upon coins. The perpetrator became the first Roman emperor, and fake news had allowed Octavian to hack the republican system once and for all. So what are we discussing here? We are discussing the impact here. What happened as a result of this information manipulation that was going on? It made it possible for Octavian to hack the republican system. So this, we are talking about the impact. Here is a transition, here is a switch. Here we visit the 21st century, the modern times. 21st century has seen the weaponization of information. Whenever you come across words which are so strong in their meanings, make sure you make a note of it, because this is where the difference is created as far as the options are concerned. Weaponization of information is one of such important words here. On an unprecedented scale, remember this, unprecedented. Something where the limit is not set, it is beyond what you would expect it to be. Powerful new technology makes the fabrication of content simple, and social networks amplify falsehoods peddled by states. You will always come across words which you don't know the meaning of. It is quite common. Should you stop and understand and try to figure out? Yes, but if it is taking a lot of time, understand it may not be important in the broader context of purpose. So you might want to skip such words if you don't know and just move ahead. By states, populist politicians, dishonest corporate entities, whenever you have such commas, you don't have to read everything in detail. If needed, we'll come back and verify. These are information based. These are information based. You don't have to read through it in such detail. The platforms have become fertile ground for computational propaganda, trolling and troll armies. Again, look at these words. You have inverted commas. You should have looked at such words, when you started this passage. That should have given you a hint that this seems like an easy take. Now we'll go ahead and discuss the options. Alright, the first one. Disinformation, which is mediated by technology today, is not new and has existed since ancient times. Yes, manipulation has existed, but here mediated is a problem. Remember, we are going to focus a lot on the words. Mediated here is a problem. What do you mean by mediation? Mediation means when there is a conflict and you have a group of people or an individual or an entity or an organization trying to bring the parties together. That is mediation. Here we are talking about how technology has fueled this, right? This misinformation. So mediated here is wrong, and hence I am eliminating this choice. Remember, you don't come to the answer in one go. You need to compare and find out the best choice. Option B, people need to become critical of what they read, since historically weaponization of information has led to corruption. This is absolutely wrong. Don't fall for such traps. This looks like the moral of the story. What would the story be if it proceeded? We never know how the story is going to proceed. For us, the story ends where it ends. This looks like what people should be doing. This looks like a future prospect of action. So here you need to be careful of such options. This is absolutely what is known as out of scope, alright. This is out of scope, not mentioned anywhere. Option 3, use of misinformation for attaining power, a practice that is as old as the Octavian era, is currently fueled by technology. This option, I really like this option. Reason being, I am looking at keywords here which I also found in the passage, and all of it together is making sense. We have use of keywords like misinformation, attaining power. There is a mention of Octavian era, which was the example, the historical example, and how currently it is fueled by technology. So this for me looks like the best choice out of the 3 that I have read, but I'll read D, compare it with C, and then come to the answer. So option D, Octavian used fake news to manipulate people and attain power. This is right, and influence, just as people do today. There is no problem with this option. Where is the problem? I have a choice which is better. Option D has no mention of the word technology, which was an important aspect of this passage. There is no mention of this word. We don't know how this technology was used to spread misinformation. And taking all these points into consideration, we have arrived at the correct answer, which is option C. So for PARASUMMARY, look at the language, see if it is familiar, look at the options once you are sure about the passage, and then look at how you can comparatively come up with the best choice which captures the essence of the passage. I hope you've understood this question. Now we'll proceed to the next question, and whatever we have learned in this question, we'll try and apply there as well. Perfect. So we have the next question on the screen. Again, just like any other question, I would urge you to try it on your own, come up with an answer, and then check the logic. What are we doing? The first step, we'll just randomly skim and look at words. The first word that I see is colonialism. Alright. Now, this is a word which may be the favorites of a lot of people who read through it, and for others, it may not be a very comfortable topic. So, I just make a note of it. I have looked at a word which may not be very comfortable. Next, I am randomly looking at words, alright. I am looking at territory, I am looking at technological developments, navigation, towards the end, geographical dispersion, violent disposition, political domination. More or less what I've understood is they're trying to explain the process. Correct. I may be absolutely wrong. I am just making calculated guess, right? So when I'm first looking at the question, I don't know anything about it. What are the things that go on in my head? So probably that is the keyword, the first one. And then we are trying to explain something about it. And because there is a mention of technological development, we might want to, look at things like how things have changed over the years. Probably that could be one way in which the passage proceeds. So let us try and understand what is actually happening. Colonialism is not a modern phenomenon. Perfect. World history is full of examples of one society gradually expanding by incorporating adjacent territory and settling its people on newly conquered territory. Alright, so probably the first line is trying to set up an introduction of sorts. What happens when colonies are formed, and we have history which stands as a testament to what happened when colonialism came into picture. Then we move to the 16th century, very specific, when colonialism changed decisively because of technological developments in navigation. Perfect. So here we are looking at the 16th century, and here again the keyword that we spotted, some random words. So this is what we have understood, that there were some technological developments which happened in navigation in the 16th century, and it helped us connect more remote parts of the world. The modern European colonial project emerged when it became possible to move large number of peoples across the ocean and to maintain political control in spite of geographical dispersion. So here we are looking at what happened after all those advancements came into the picture. We are looking at how it became possible for us to connect remote parts of the world. It became easier for us to disperse large groups of people and to maintain political control. The term colonialism is used to describe the process of European settlement. This is where you need to understand something. For people who've just looked at this and skipped this passage, thinking that you've no idea about what this could mean, the meaning is actually given in the passage itself. So do not make decisions in haste. Do not just look at keywords and make decision. Look at a few more words. Try playing around the periphery of the words. You might find something which is actually beneficial and helpful for you. This is where colonialism is described for you. You do not really have to use your brains and come up with the meaning. So we are talking about the European settlement, violent disposition, again violent, strong use, political domination, very strong usage of word again, domination, over the rest of the world, including Americas, Australias and parts of Africa and Asia. Perfect. So more or less, what did we learn here? We are trying to describe colonialism. We've touched upon 16th century, we've touched a bit about technological advancements in navigation, what was the impact of that, and then we ended with actually understanding technically what colonialism means and what are the effects or impact: settlement, violent disposition and political domination. These are the three keywords that I found in the last sentence. Let's try and look at the options. First one, colonialism surged in the 16th century due to advancements in navigation, alright, enabling British settlements abroad and global dominance. If you have read through the passage well, you will know that it was not just British settlements, we were talking about Europe as a whole. So this is a little narrow in my opinion, alright, this is a little narrow in my opinion. I'll keep looking at the choices, probably put this on hold. If I find something better, I'll roll with that. Option B, as a result of developments in navigation technology, European colonialism led to the displacement of indigenous populations and global political changes in the 16th century. This looks like a good choice, but then where I need to be careful. Look at this, global political changes. While it is true that a lot of changes happened as a result of colonialism, it is not perfectly true that we could term it as changes alone, because the word given in the passage is domination. So colonialism was not just restricted to changes, it talks more about how the European settlements, they tried dominating the other parts of the world. So this is very close to what we are looking at, but then we had a very strong word mentioned in the passage, and hence this looks like a weaker or not a very accurate way of processing information. Option C, colonialism conceptualized in the 16th century. If you have read the passage well, this is an absolute no-no. Why this is a big no? It was not conceptualized in the 16th century, correct? Advancements started happening in the 16th century. So this is how they play around with choices. If you are smart and careful, you will not have to read through the entire thing. You can eliminate it right away. So this is one of the straight, eliminations. Option D, Technological advancements in navigation, yes, it happened in the 16th century. Transformed colonialism, definitely enabling Europeans to establish settlements and exert political dominance over distant regions. This is a very, very apt description. So if you look at it, you will understand that this is a really good choice. Okay, we're talking about advancements, we're talking about the 16th century, we're talking about how this transformed, we are talking about Europeans, we're talking about political dominance. So this actually has all the ingredients which were missing in the other two options that we put on hold. So now I can safely reject A and B and just give a thumbs up to D as an answer choice. What are our takeaways? Very, very important. PARASUMMARY is all about comparative choices. You might have to pick an option which comparatively makes better sense. Alright, it is not as objective as you might term it to be. And just another word of suggestion from my end, just a bit of suggestion. What I have noticed is usually the option which is the lengthiest out of the four tends to summarize the passage better. Now this may not work for all answer choices that you go ahead with. It's not like you look at the lengthiest option and mark it as an answer without reading through it. Usually that packs in more information than the others and has the capacity to summarize the passage better. That could just be one of the ways of looking at it. So last two questions you might realize that the sentence, the option that made the most sense or the one that we picked as our answer choice, as our final answer choice, actually might be the lengthiest of the other, compared to the other options we had on the board. So that is just a tip from my end. I hope you keep studying and you keep going through these concepts, and we'll meet later with a lot more videos. Thank you.